theatricality and deception. Powerful agents to the uninitiated, but we are initiated.
I'm super excited!
Americans are drinking tap water contaminated with an invisible toxic cocktail of cancer-linked chemicals. That is according to a new report from the Environmental Working Group's 2021 tap water database. Researchers and scientists spent 2 years analyzing water contaminants from almost 50,000 water systems across all 50 states and Washington, D.C. as well. Joining me now, The Hill's Sharon Udason, who is covering this story. Sharon, thank you for joining us on this. It's super troubling. And I have to say, sitting here thinking, I drink tap water all the time, by the way. So what have I been drinking? We know at this point $15 billion from the infrastructure bill is going to be put towards replacing lead pipes, but it's not just about lead pipes that's causing.
And now bottled water is being pulled from Stop and Shop stores in New Jersey. This involves the 1-gallon bottles of Acadia spring water because it was sourced near the site of the toxic train derailment in Ohio. Now, the company says that their supplier is testing water quality regularly, and if the tests continue to show that there are no safety concerns, the products will return to stores. Other sizes of Acadia water are produced at different locations.
In this small Tennessee town, a layer of thick, black residue is covering up street signs, clinging onto roofs and trees.
Look, that is fungus that is growing on the side of this branch. See?
It's called whiskey fungus.
Like on these branches, you see for sure that's definitely whiskey fungus.
And it's being fueled by one of the most popular whiskey brands in the world, Jack Daniels, which operates 6 barrel houses here in Lincoln County. Those alcohol vapors released during the aging process of whiskey can travel hundreds of yards, fueling fungal growth, spreading on many surfaces.
And so this is harder on the metal. But look.
A radioactive leak at a nuclear power plant right here in Minnesota.
Xcel Energy says it happened at its plant in Monticello last November. Now, contaminated water is slowly creeping toward the Mississippi River. WCCO's Alan Henry spoke with agencies about how they plan to stop it and why it took months for the public to find out.
Both Xcel and the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency released statements about the leak Thursday afternoon, making it public knowledge for the first time.
If at any point there had been a concern for the public safety, we would, of course, immediately provided much more information.
The plant is located about 3/4 of a mile away from the Mississippi River, and officials tell me none of that leaked water has reached the river, at least not yet.
As the snow melts and contributes to water in the river, that actually creates a natural pressure that will push the water that leaked from our plant back toward the plant. So nature is actually working with us here.
State and local officials waited 4 months to notify the public. State health officials say there is no risk to people or the environment.
And that the radioactive element has been contained to the area around the plant. Courtney Godfrey joins us now after speaking to officials today. Courtney?
Yeah, the Minnesota Department of Health says the leak is confined to groundwater underneath the plant and that the radioactive material hasn't migrated, saying they didn't believe there was any reason to notify the public earlier because no one was at risk.
This is something that we want you to be aware of, but there's no need for public alarm or concern.
Xcel Energy is trying to ease public concern after announcing a radioactive leak at its Monticello nuclear power plant back in November, saying a cracked pipe likely led a byproduct of the nuclear reaction process called tritium to leak into the groundwater.
Our own employees drink from water from a well right there on site. We, of course, tested that water to make sure that it was well within safe water drinking standards, and it is. So again, we knew that there was nothing particularly concerning.
The plant sits right along the Mississippi River in Monticello.
Found in Texas. They range in age from 10 to 17 and were discovered after a 3-week operation. Authorities confirming some of those children are victims of sex trafficking. NewsNation's Marky Martin joins us live now. And Marky, what more can you tell us?
Hey, Nicole, so the majority of them were found in West Texas, but believe it or not, some of them were also found right here in the booming metropolis that is Dallas-Fort Worth. The majority of them were runaways that were subjected to unthinkable harm. But thanks to this program tonight, they are back safe and alive.
In Texas, 70 missing children have been brought back home following a 3-week multi-agency mission called Operation Lost Souls.
Runaway children are most at risk to falling prey to predators who wish to hurt them and jeopardize their health and safety. They're oftentimes drugged and forced into sex trafficking.
The Department of Homeland Security, which led the program with the help of almost 30 other agencies, revealed the minors were between the ages of 10 and 17. Many were recovered from sex trafficking and physical abuse in West Texas, Dallas, even Mexico. Their rescue coming on the heels of a separate recent Texas kidnapping making headlines after a 15-year-old girl was abducted from a Dallas Mavericks game when she left her dad to use the restroom. The child eventually found in a hotel room in Oklahoma City. These 8 people ultimately arrested for their involvement.
These people played a role in trying to get this girl trafficked for purposes of sex.
Speed is of the essence. We need to find out what's going on.
We spoke with private investigator J.B. Rice, who helped locate the teen. He asked to keep his identity private and not talk specifics on the case, but underscores the horrors endured by anyone sold for sex.
Every day that a child is missing, if she's being trafficked or if he's being trafficked, it does happen to male children also, that child is being raped 10 or 15 times. Every day they're missing, that is trauma added. That's damage done.
Yeah, I will add, he asked to keep his facial identity private there. Now, we're outside American Airlines Center where that 15-year-old girl was abducted, Nicole. And I'll tell you this, that story sent shockwaves across the city that something like that could happen at a popular venue like this that people frequent for games. As far as those 70 children who were returned go, they have been offered victim services and counseling.
While many are asking Congress to unseal proof of alien life to the American public, a Harvard team of researchers says they might already have some. They say microscopic debris at the bottom of the ocean floor could be from alien technology. And Harvard professor Avi Loeb led that mission to the ocean floor and joins us live now. Professor, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, Professor, can you explain what exactly did you find at the bottom of the ocean, and why does your team think that it might be alien technology?
Well, on January 8th, 2014, a meteor was detected by U.S. government sensors, and it was moving very fast. And I realized, together with my student Amir Siraj, that it was actually faster than the escape speed from the sun, from the solar system. So it came into the solar system from outside. We called it the first interstellar meteor. It's the first object from outside the solar system that was recognized. And the government also released data on the fireball that indicated that the material strength of this object was tougher than all space rocks that were cataloged by NASA. And so that raised the possibility, since it's moving faster than 95% of all the stars in the vicinity of the sun, it may be aided by propulsion, and moreover, it may be made of some artificial alloy that makes it tougher than even iron meteorites. And this is not a philosophical question. We decided to go to the Pacific Ocean and search for any relics from this object. And amazingly enough, we found them. We found tiny millimeter-sized spherules. These are metallic marbles embedded within the volcanic ash on the ocean floor that is more than a mile deep. And we surveyed a region that is 10 kilometers in size with a sled that is only 1 meter in width. So think of it as a heroic effort to find tiny fragments from that explosion, and we found them.
And what did the metallic marbles tell you? Why do you think it's alien technology?
Well, we don't know yet, so now we are examining them with the best instruments we have at Harvard University. Soon enough, within the coming weeks, we should know the composition and the isotopes that make these marbles and figure out whether they are natural, similar to rocks in the solar system, or something unusual, like an artificial alloy, like steel, for example.
So how, at this point, I know that, excuse me to interrupting, I know that the analysis is still ongoing, but at this point, how likely is it that you think that this is alien technology?
Oh, at this point, we don't know for sure, but we are, at this point, what we are trying to see is whether the composition is different from rocks. Okay, that's the fundamental question. And then just think about these spherules as romantic rose petals leading us to our partner, so to speak, because they indicate the path that the meteor took, and there may be a bigger relic, the size of a meter or so, left on the ocean floor, which we are aiming to find next. So really the goal would be to find whatever big core of this object was, and then it will be obvious whether it was a rock or a spacecraft. The reason, to think about the spacecraft is if you think about Voyager, it went into interstellar space and it could collide with an exoplanet in 1 billion years, and it would appear as a meteor. And all one needs is to examine whatever is left from this first interstellar meteor to figure out whether it was artificial or natural. And, this is the first opportunity for humans to put their hands on an object that came from outside the solar system.
Okay, fascinating. And it sounds like there are so many questions yet to be answered. So I'm going to let you get back to your research, Professor, and please check back in with us when you find out more results. I would love to know the origin, the alloy, all of it, what it's composed of, and if you end up finding that big other object, we'll check back with you. Harvard Professor Avi Loeb, I appreciate you spending some time with us. Thank you.
Thank you.